Severe winter weather hit the United States Midwest this week with snow and strong winds causing widespread disruption. In Iowa, blizzard conditions strained cars and closed roads, while Kansas faced a blizzard that prompted travel warnings. Eastern Nebraska saw school closures and road shutdowns due to snow drifts and blowing snow. I leave you with these visuals, and I'll see you at this desk tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
New tonight, tens of thousands of Department of Veterans Affairs employees could be out of a job later this year. It's part of the Trump administration's ongoing effort to reduce government spending.
News 3 anchor Parra Cruz joining us now. And Parra, you're here to break down what we know right now.
Yeah, Kurt and Jess, the Associated Press is reporting an internal memo from the VA says there will be a reorganization in August. Now, according to this memo, more than 80,000 employees are set to be cut. In his weekly call with reporters earlier today, Virginia U.S. Senator Mark Warner was asked about this. He says while the VA does need some reform, cutting a large number of employees, many of whom are veterans themselves, well, that's wrong and disrespectful to veterans.
I hope this might be finally an issue where my Republican colleagues who love to say they support the military will actually speak up rather than cowering behind Elon Musk's actions.
The AP reports more than 25% of the VA's workforce are veterans themselves.
Expecting to learn some more details about the potential impact on our state after it was announced a reorganization in the Veterans Affairs Agency would cut more than 80,000 jobs.
Your reporter Marcy Jones is live outside of the West Haven VA. So Marcy, have they given any idea on which roles could be at risk to be cut?
Good morning, Tracy and Nicole. Well, the only real clear detail that was given was that within the 82,000 jobs at risk, that 20,000 of them are held by veterans. Now, it's still unclear at this time how many Connecticut VA workers could be impacted. Top officials explained in a memo circulated this week that their goal is to cut enough jobs to return the agency to staffing levels they last had in 2019. The cuts would reverse an expansion that added tens of thousands of jobs during a period of the Biden administration that was also used to cover veterans impacted by burn pits. Before the news broke of the VA's August reorganization, dozens of folks were out here Monday protesting cuts to the federal workforce. Currently, more than 25% of the VA's workforce is comprised of veterans. Now, we've been told that there are approximately 4,200 Connecticut VA workers. Again, it's unclear how many of those roles could be impacted by this reorganization. Senator Blumenthal, the top Democrat in the Veterans Affairs Committee, actually has a virtual call coming up in just a few hours at 10:30. So make sure you stay right here on Channel 3 for the latest updates. Your reporter in West Haven, Marcy.
관련 기관과 함께 오늘 우리 포천시에 있을 수 없는 일이 벌어졌습니다. 승진과학훈련장에서 실시 중인 한미연합 사격 훈련 중 포탄이 민가에 떨어져 무고한 시민들께서 중경상을 입고 수채의 가옥과 차량이 파손되는 끔찍한 사고가 발생을 했습니다. 이번 사고로 피해를 입으신 주민 여러분께 깊은 위로의 말씀을 드리며 포천시는 정부와 함께 신속하게 사고 수습에 나서도록 하겠습니다.
주민들도 쓰러져 있고 주민들 뭐 차 타고 간 사람 하나 차 타고 가다가 폭탄에 맞아가지고 이 도랑에 빠져갖고 구조해.
맞았다고요?
차가 맞았죠. 직접 맞아가지고 차가
튀어서.
아니 차 앞에 떨어졌으니까 폭탄이 차 앞에.
전쟁 난 줄 알았어요. 그 소리는 태어나서 처음 듣는 소리였어요. 얼마나 큰지 무서워서 이게 막 심장이 막 이렇게 멈추질 않고 덜덜덜덜 떨었거든요. 그 소리에.
Estoy acá por las jubilaciones, que son un desastre, cada vez peor, y por este gobierno perverso que esconde alimentos, que nos saca los medicamentos, nos lleva a la ruina. Realmente es un desastre, perverso, maldad, estafador. No sé cuándo el pueblo va a reaccionar contra este criminal.
במשך שנים רבות צה"ל עמד במשימותיו. ב7 באוקטובר צה"ל כשל. היה כאן כישלון עמוק. אך אין זה נכון שכישלון בסדר גודל כזה יתוחקר רק בצה"ל ובשב"כ. צה"ל הוא חלק מסדר עדיפות לאומי, מקבל מדיניות ופועל על פיה. הקמת ועדת חקירה ממלכתית נחוצה וחיונית לא כדי להאשים, אלא בראש ובראשונה כדי להגיע לשורש הבעיות ולאפשר תיקון.
לא נסלח ולא נשכח. זוהי מלחמת קיום. נמשיך במערכה להחזרת חטופינו ולהכרעה. המשימה שמוטלת עליהם היום היא ברורה. להוביל את צה"ל לניצחון.
We turn our attention now to the Middle East, and President Trump has issued what he describes as a last warning for Hamas to release all remaining hostages held in Gaza. In a post to Truth Social, the president warned the militant group that if it did not comply with his demand, not a single Hamas member would be safe. And he went on to say he will send Israel, quote, everything it needs to finish the job. Now, that threat came hours after the White House confirmed that U.S. officials have held direct talks with Hamas. That's a severe break from diplomatic tradition. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Deborah Patta, continuing to report from Jerusalem. Deborah, great to see you. What more can you tell us about this threat from the president and this apparent one-on-one with Hamas?
Well, Errol, President Trump did not just threaten Hamas, he also warned the entire civilian population of Gaza that a beautiful future awaits them, but not if they hold hostages, adding, and I quote, if you do, you are dead. Hamas has responded by saying that Trump's threats only serve to encourage Israel to disregard the terms of the ceasefire agreed to in January. Now, Israel, as you know, has already cut off all aid to Gaza in a bid to force Hamas to accept an alternative agreement, which would really delay talks on ending the war, but still allow for the release of at least half of all the living hostages, Errol.
And what was or has been the response in the region to these apparent direct talks between the U.S. and Hamas?
Well, as you mentioned, those direct talks with Hamas go against a very long-standing diplomatic taboo against holding negotiations with a U.S.-designated terror group. However, those talks don't really appear to have yielded any dramatic results. The initial agreement that the U.S. was party to was that in this second phase of the ceasefire negotiations, that should focus on a permanent end to the war in exchange for the release of all those living hostages. There's still more than 20 held in captivity. Israel has not participated in any meaningful talks on withdrawing troops from Gaza, and instead it's pushing this alternative plan. And their public response to those secret talks has been somewhat muted. So that leaves the truce in a very perilous state with no real plan for the way forward.
And meanwhile, Deborah, as you've been reporting, Israel continues to block the entry of aid into Gaza. That's in a bid to get Hamas to agree to a new ceasefire plan. But what is the situation inside the enclave for all those civilians caught in the middle of this?
Well, for Palestinians in Gaza who have already endured so much pain, so much misery, there is a very real fear that they could go back to the worst days of the war. Now, for 6 weeks, aid during the first phase of the truce had been entering Gaza. That was a condition of the January ceasefire deal. Now those trucks carrying food, fuel, medicine, and any other supplies have all been stopped by Israel. Nothing is getting in at a time when most Palestinians are almost entirely dependent on aid. Now, the UN says that supplies will run out in less than 2 weeks, Errol.
Fox News host Maria Bartiromo threw a complete and total tantrum when they interviewed a car dealer who said, oh, no, Trump's tariffs are going to be terrible for our industry. This is really good stuff. It's a couple minutes long. It's worth setting up and really watching the whole thing. They've got, reporter on the street at a car dealership talking to car dealer guy. And the guy starts to explain, if you add what these tariffs are going to add to the cost of these vehicles, to the retail price of the vehicles, no one's going to buy these vehicles. It's just, they're going to be too expensive. It's going to exceed their market value and their perceived utility. Maria Bartiromo doesn't like it, stick with it. When they go back to her, they go, they don't have these cars in Europe and blah, 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 blah. There's a reason why, okay? Check this out. It is a complete and total meltdown from exactly who you would expect it to come from.
Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram.
Yeah.
Impact.
Dramatic. I sold order for a customer. $80,000 truck. It's $100,000 now. So he's not going to buy the truck. It's going to sit on my lot at the higher interest rates we're paying right now for floor plan, and nobody's going to buy the truck because it just had a $20,000 price increase.
Right. Kelley Blue Book will put the number up. They say the average vehicle will go up by about $3,000. Does it sound right to you?
No, it will not. We don't have the broad stroke. We don't have the linear, the tight strokes. But to me, it's a 25% tariff. So that affects our parts that come from over these countries, and a whole bunch of our cars.
And you've been basing your business model on free trade, basically. This is what the American Automakers Policy Council says, Maria, in response to this. They say our American automakers invested billions in the U.S. to meet the requirements of the current free trade agreement. They shouldn't have their competitiveness undermined by tariffs that'll raise the cost of building vehicles in the U.S. and stymie investment in the American workforce while competitors from the outside of North America benefit. The German, there's no tariff on the German cars coming in now.
No, they're Japanese. They're going to be okay. But think about it. We built our business around that. The OEMs built their business around that, and now it changes on a dime. And we can't build a $4 billion plant overnight in the United States. So I think building in the United States is great. I think enhancing the participation from the other countries on the other things, but this is pretty radical.
I hear you.
So the diagnosis is pretty dire. Now let's go to Maria.
There you go, Maria, where the rubber meets the road here.
All right, great. Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff, thank you. Thank you so much. Jeff Flock at the Dodge Ram plant. Not plant. It's not a plant, Chris. They're selling cars. Thank you, dealership. But you know what? Let me ask you this, okay?
Yes.
How many Dodge Rams do you see driving around Europe? Okay. How many Dodge Rams do you see driving around India? I mean, not many, I bet. Why? Because they don't buy our cars. And that's what President Trump is trying to change. Maybe Dodge should start building them here.
The reason that you don't see Dodge Rams, okay, in Belgium and in Paris is because these stupid monster trucks don't fit on their roads, because they don't subsidize gasoline the way we do, meaning that what they pay for gas is closer to the real total cost of a gallon, meaning it would be nuts to have a Dodge Ram monster truck. And it has nothing to do with what Maria Bartiromo wants you to believe that it is about. And tariffs are sure as hell not going to fix it. This is, you know, I've said this before. I don't know that Maria Bartiromo is this dumb, because she was a really good financial reporter back in the CNBC days when I was in high school and I was starting to get a little bit involved in the stock market and understanding how some of these things work. She did excellent interviews with CEOs, held them to account, reported from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, first woman to do so, all these different things. I struggle to believe she could be this dumb. And so that makes me think she's playing a character for Fox News and to placate Trump, which is arguably in some way even worse.
We didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back.
For months, President Donald Trump has taken issue with how the Panama Canal is being run and who owns operations. Well, on Tuesday, an American investment group announced it's scooping up ports owned by a Hong Kong-based company for around $19 billion. But not just any American investment firm. BlackRock has taken heat from conservatives for years over so-called woke policies.
Just today, a large American company announced they are buying both ports around the Panama Canal and lots of other things having to do with the Panama Canal and a couple of other canals.
An investment group led by BlackRock struck a deal to buy 2 ports on either side of the canal, along with over 40 others owned by Hong Kong-based CK Hutchison. BlackRock's chairman and CEO Larry Fink is known to have the ear of Trump. He apparently called the president directly to pitch the idea of his $12 trillion investment house purchasing the ports, according to a report from Bloomberg. President Trump used his joint address to Congress Tuesday to underscore America's claim to the trade route.
The Panama Canal was built by Americans for Americans, not for others, but others could use it. But it was built at tremendous cost of American blood and treasure. 38,000 workers died building the Panama Canal. My administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
BlackRock made the deal through Global Infrastructure Partners, which owns and operates ports, airports, and data centers. BlackRock bought Global Infrastructure Partners last year for nearly $13 billion. Fink said of the deal, this agreement is a powerful illustration of BlackRock and GIP's combined platform and our ability to deliver differentiated investments for clients. These world-class ports facilitate global growth. Trump's call out to BlackRock is significant since it's been on the receiving end of backlash from conservatives and Republican-led states for years. BlackRock was previously part of a UN-sponsored climate coalition and was heavily invested in ESG and DEI initiatives. Those concerns led a number of Republican-led states to ban pension funds from investing in BlackRock products. Meanwhile, last November, a group of 11 states led by Texas sued BlackRock and some other large asset managers, claiming they violated antitrust law through climate initiatives. In recent months, BlackRock backed off its controversial policies.
Deteriorating between China and the United States, with Beijing declaring it's prepared to go to war with America. The alarming words reflect China's fury over Donald Trump's trade tariffs and coincides with a dramatic boost to its defence spending.
China's President Xi Jinping commands the latest session of the National People's Congress, the calculated show of unity and strength, contrasting with the chaos caused by Donald Trump's treatment of America's allies and strategic partners.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people.
The world entering a dangerous new era, Beijing announcing a 7.2% increase to its defence spending, after the US president increased tariffs on Chinese imports.
If war is what the US wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end.
A threatening message repeated by China's diplomats in Washington.
We're ready to fight till the end. As Secretary of Defense, how do you take that?
Well, we're prepared. Those who long for peace must prepare for war.
Australia's military preparedness tested by 3 Chinese warships conducting live fire drills and a circumnavigation of the continent.
That, God forbid, a war could happen.
Elbridge Colby, Donald Trump's choice for US defence policy advisor, saying Australia's defence spending is well below the 3% of GDP the President expects.
We need to get to 3% of defence spending because it's in our national security interests.
Our defence policy is to increase our defence expenditure. That's what we're doing.
China isn't the only defence challenge. Under Donald Trump, the US is retreating as Western Europe's security guarantor, which means all of America's traditional allies will have to step up if Russia is to be defeated.
Crossroads are lined with big lorries and tractors, so I feel pretty safe here. Of course, there is still the possibility of attacks being carried out here, but you have to live with that risk. And that's a general risk. It can happen anywhere.
I've sometimes had a bit of a queasy feeling and looked at how the street here is secured. That's right, I did that. But I also don't like to be put off. That's why I celebrate consciously, in the knowledge that this can also be a difficult situation.
Banjir tuh. Banjir. Airnya naik nih. Tiba-tiba nih. Makin gede.
Banjir belum surut.
Galaksi depan SSD udah tinggi sekali. Gila, ini sampai segini guys kondisinya. Wow, benar-benar